Yeah, there's, so I watch a lot of really bad movies, like really cheap bad movies. There's one called Ben and Arthur from the early 2000s, and it's from a time when gay marriage was only legal in Vermont and Hawaii. And this thing is, I mean, Henry, they shot this thing on about a $12 budget. The guy who is like the lead character wrote, produced, directed, and starred in it.
If you have a DVD copy of this, I would love it. I actually collect movies like that.
I'll have to see if I've got something hanging around. So I know I've got a digital copy somewhere still. So there's this whole thing about these two characters trying to get married, right? And they're gonna either have to go to Hawaii or Vermont. And it's so weird. And this all happened within my lifetime. You know, I've got gay friends. I've got married gay friends. And to think that there was a time these friends of mine couldn't have got married. And then to realize that it wasn't that long ago. And it was recent enough that this bad movie that was only made 15, 18 years ago is still from the time where that was illegal. Yeah, this thing is like The Room, but cheaper and gay. It's just an incredible, incredible movie.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to give it a watch. Like I said, there's nothing than a good $5 movie. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love these ones that you just kind of accidentally hear about somewhere. You're like, well, no way, this thing could be as bad as they're saying. And then you go check it out and go, ooh, oh my goodness. Oh, man. Next time you and I are over in the same neck of the woods, remind me to break out the binder and let you have a good browse through. Anything you pick in there is going to blow your mind, I promise you.
Okay. Well, so back to this episode, I would give it a solid 8, a very solid 8, well written, well directed, well characterized. I wouldn't give it any negatives. Now, the lady who played Cthulhu, she must play lawyers in other shows because every time she was on the screen, I was going, I've seen her before. And because I didn't write the show notes this week, I didn't go look her up. But I was so distracted by her in this role going, God, she's got to be a TV lawyer on something else, that it took me out of the show. That is the only reason I give it any negatives. And it's not because she did a bad performance. It was just, she was so good in her role, it kept taking me out of it.
You know, I gotta get that same vibe when I watch through it, especially on the rewatch. Like, hey, I've seen this actor before. I've seen this character before somewhere. Like, I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, there was just something about her that was so fitting for that role that it made me wonder. And I probably should have stopped and went and looked it up just so I didn't do this to myself during this period. But I was just wondering where she was from, because it has to be a legal drama, or she is just able to jump into any role and play it convincingly to that degree.
That's an actor that's gone places for sure.
Yeah. And then let's give ChatGPT, let's give it some points. How do you think it did on a scale of 1 to 10 coffee dunk tribbles?
Coffee dunk tribble. I'm still thinking about that. A tribble wired up on caffeine. I could watch a whole 3 seasons of that, man. But for the humor, I give it an absolute 10 out of 10 when it comes in, because cheesy humor is my thing, and there was more than a couple of times where I'm really glad I wasn't holding a drink, because I would have spat it out all over my shirt. But that being said, I am absolutely purging the computer buffer after this.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Well, there was one thing I wanted to hit real quick. Now, before you and I talked about you coming on as my co-host, I had got an email from somebody saying, hey, I noticed that you guys haven't put out a new episode in a while. I'm kind of hoping that we'll see something, here soon. And I think you and I probably talked within a few weeks after that when I asked you to come on as my co-host, or at least try it out. But this fella here, he's from a podcast called For Your Ears Only, where they are reviewing every James Bond movie. But he recently sent me an email after last week's episode, if I can find it here. So Colton Flat's his name. He writes and says, listen to the new episode. I think your cousin brings a lot of fun facts, tidbits, and references to the table and made the episode really enjoyable. So you have already gotten some positive, I've already gotten some positive feedback from being on the show.
Yeah, my first bit of fan mail. Yeah. Thank you so much.
So that's always nice to see positives like that because, I used to host a podcast with a former wrestler, Bobby Blaze. And at the end of the show, like I do here, we'd say, hey, if you, wherever you listen to us, go leave us a star rating and a review. And please keep in mind that Bobby and Jeremy suck is not a review. Because occasionally we'd get those, and I'd always like to just, remind people that's not actually a review. That's just an opinion and leave our personal lives out of it. But anyhow, one of the things I forgot to do last week and I need to make sure I do every week, I want to thank Miguel Esparza from the band Hatriot for our theme music and my good friend Will Harding for handling our YouTube page. And Henry, thank you for coming on as the co-host.
Thank you for having me as always, brother.
Yep. And thank you everybody for listening. Please, like I started to say a moment ago, take a moment, rate, review, share, like, subscribe, all that stuff. We're on all of the outlets for podcasts. We are on YouTube where we release full episodes plus snippets. So please take a moment to do that. Henry, you want to close out the episode this week?
Well, nothing but a small advertisement. If anybody has any need for any used isolinear chips, feel free to drop us an email. They have only had ChatGPT installed on them once.
And with that, we bid you all farewell. Live long and prosper.